Hello, welcome to the vlog. They say that time flies when you're having fun, and I can really believe that. Where does time go? I'm convinced the older I'm getting, the quicker time is moving, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I thought it was quite appropriate for this vlog to do a 780-day review of the Radrunner. I bought the Radrunner in November 2022. I think I did the last review maybe a year ago. So I thought it was quite appropriate that today we see if I've actually changed my mind at all. It'll be a perfectly honest review as always, folks, because although I love the Radrunner, there are some things that I love and there are some things that I'm not so keen on. But we'll find that out when we do the review. So if you're ready, put your feet up, get a cup of coffee, get a brew, and let's see what it's like. If you're ready, folks, let's go. So let me start the review, this 24-month review, by going back to the times when I was thinking about getting a bike in the first place. As they used to say at my favourite Blockbuster store, be kind, rewind. And always remember, ride rad. So, why did I choose to have an electric bike in the first place? I'd already owned a push bike. I have to say two things persuaded me. One, I'm not getting any younger. And secondly, I need to make sure that both my physical health and my mental health can be as fit as I could be. And there's no better way for me, my friends, to ensure that by getting out on my bike, of course. With a Radrunner, it makes it even better. So, in the very, very first place, what did I do? Why did I want to do this? I wanted to show my sprogs, and I've got 3 of them, where their father used to go when he was a sprog and on a bike. So for posterity, absolutely, they can see where I used to go, and for me, it's really good. And that's because to see the places I used to go, to see actually how much they've changed in the years, because I have to say it, my friends, and you may have heard this before, but some places I've been to I haven't visited for over 50 years. So there's bound to be an awful lot of change in that time, and that was part of the reason why I did this. I wanted to see if there was a lot of difference. So when we start about how did I research doing why did I choose the Radrunner, in other words? Well, first of all, when I started doing my research, for me, there's far too much choice. That was 2 years ago. I dare say today there's even a bigger range of choice, but there was far too much choice. I scrolled and scrolled through so many bikes to have a look to see what the features are. So, once I decided on the Radrunner, I then wanted to do some more research, and I joined several e-bike forums to see what the opinion was amongst the guys who ride them every day. I have to say, I come across quite a few biased opinions, mainly from North America, because obviously Radpower Bikes, who make the Radrunner, are based in Seattle in North America. But anyway, I chose a bike because of what I see. It's the coolest bike I've ever seen. I think there's a lot of Me Too's out there, but there's only one Radrunner. So having chosen the bike, I then had my first real choice. Do I go for the green finish or do I go for the black? Well, for me, the choice is really simple, because black is best. I think it's more than the green itself. Because when you accessorise the Radrunner, there's no accessories, for example, if you choose the green colour. But black, you've got, I think, a total of somewhere like 301 adaptions you can put on the Radrunner, and they will be nearly all black. So that choice was fairly simple to keep it as I like to do it. Now, when I bought the Radrunner, and let's have a look at the Radrunner. It's a bike that comes without any front or rear suspension. That meant, of course, that I had to try and make sure I could get as comfortable a ride as I could from buying an accessory called a suspension seat post. I also added to it my favourite seat. I still call it my big bum seat, but that's a really thick gel seat, so the two together give me a little bit of comfort. Other things I've added to the bike, obviously front and rear fenders, because obviously living in the UK we do get a bit of wet weather, so I did that. I also bought a rack for it as well at the back. Somebody said to me the other day about, is that have I purchased that to do Deliveroo deliveries? No thank you, but it comes in handy, I have to say. So besides that, what have I added to it? Well, I have to say I've added the compulsory folding steel bike lock, the kryptonite one, alongside a drinks holder as well. Up on the cockpit side, probably the most useful thing I've bought for me has been this little device. It's called the Egg Rider V2, and what this little beast does, it releases the power from this 500 watt motor that's disabled to 250 watts and gives me an awful lot more torque by doing so. It means for me, to give you a simple example, if I'm going up a steep incline, a steep hill, I can continue at the rate of knots I do without having to pedal any faster. So it makes life up a gradient for me really simple, and that's why I bought it. Next to that, you can see the quad lock for my Android phone, because obviously being an app driven motor, which it is, I need a secure place on my phone, and that was great. I also added a couple of, or three should I say, GoPro camera brackets, one on the handlebar, one down here on the fork that gives me a really good view, and I'd also thought I'd put one at the rear, because when I do go out on my vlogs, I like to see a real big picture behind me, and the rear GoPro when it's on really does give me that. But if I was to say to you folks, what's the most safety bias safety feature on my bike, it would have to be this end-on mirror. This little beast here is so useful. How anybody can ride and not have a mirror to see actually what's going on behind them, I have no idea. That really is useful. And I get asked quite often by people, well, how, in terms of improving the bike, how could we improve it? Well, the only thing I can say to you practically is I've been advised I should look at getting hydraulic brakes as opposed to these ones that are on already. But would it really make a difference, was my answer to that question. Would it really make such a big difference if I had hydraulic brakes? For the type of riding I do, my friends, I think they're okay. I don't think we need to go any further than what we have now. Yes, I could have had another battery to it that would get more weight onto it, but I don't think I'd benefit an awful lot from that. So you just need to be aware that obviously one of the features that I think people will, and they do question me on it, there's no question about it, in terms of the weight of the bike. I reckon with the kryptonite folding lock on there, that's added about 3.5 kilos to the weight of the bike already. So in simple English terms, I think the bike weighs about 82 pounds. And that, as I say, it's a sturdy beast. You can see it's a sturdy beast, but people do say to me, that's far too heavy a bike. And I have to say, once you get used to the bike, the balance on it becomes much easier. But then that throws up one of the other downsides to the bike that I would say from my last review is this: if I'm going to a place and I have to go through the trail or wherever I'm riding, if I have to go to really slow speed, then the Radrunner to me is more difficult to handle. And why is that? It's easy, because of the weight. But it's the weight it is because it's a very, very sturdy animal. It really is, you can see. That will take some damage for sure. Not that I will impose any on it, because I just don't drive like that at all. So the weight thing is the thing I would say to you, that if there's a downside to it, that's what it is. Upsides include, of course, the style of the bike. It's a step through, which means that being able to get on the bike and off the bike is really easy for me. Another feature is, and again, folks of a certain age will know what I mean, the handlebars themselves. In other words, the riding position. The riding position means that I can sit on my bike with a straight back, and I get no backache at all because I'm not leaning forward at all. I'm sitting straight, and that makes riding very, very much easier than if I had to, of course, crouch over the handlebar. So it's the old sit up and beg type. But again, to me, that's a feature. What I was going to say about the upsides of it's really smooth. These fat wall tyres, these 3.5-inch fat wall tyres, are suitable for almost any terrain. I can't think of any time that I do find a bit of difficulty. And again, it's related back to the weight issue. If I'm going across a piece of grass or a trail that's really muddy, then again the weight has a bearing on that itself. I do all sorts of riding, as you see from my vlogs. I'm a great fan, for example, of my local canal network. As a footpath follower, it's great. Except, of course, when the towpaths are not particularly wide, and they're particularly muddy or they're particularly stony. Out on the road on tarmac and concrete, absolutely fantastic. It really is. So that gives you a bit of an overview, my friends, of the Radrunner at 780 days, 24 months or 2 years, because that's how long I've had the Radrunner. Am I pleased with it still? Absolutely am. I try to go out at least 4 or 5 times a week on it. Obviously during, but there's certain times of the year I won't go out. If it's icy or frosty, I will not go out. If it's wet, I won't to go out. If I get wet while I'm out, well, that's fair enough. But I won't actually start to ride if it's been raining. Am I a fair weather rider? That's probably a fair comment. I don't mind that at all. But whatever the weather, one thing you have to realise is that out there on motorland, on the roadways of our country, you've got to be so much aware of the traffic around us. And here's just 3 examples for you that's happened to me, not very recently, but certainly during the last 2 years, where it's caused me to raise more than an eyebrow at the way people drive. Have a look at these. So there you are, folks. You can tell why I'm dressed like I do when I go out with my high vis on and all my body armour on, that I really, really am aware of my environment that I ride in. So, what about the next 2 years? What plans have I for then? Well, from January 2025, I shall be embarking on a little project very close to my heart and my stomach, is that I'm going to go locally to food manufacturers around the area, particularly Warwickshire, just to see what I'm missing in terms of food that I can't buy anywhere else. I mean, the supermarkets, for example. I'm a great believer in shopping local. So we're going, as I say, to Warwickshire, the West Midlands as well, seeking out food manufacturers and raising the flag for them, because I think they do a great job. So, my friends, that's about all I have to say for this 2-year, 780 days, 24-month review. I hope you liked it. If you could like, comment and subscribe, that would be great. We also have a Facebook page which is available. So again, if you want to head across there, the link is down below. So have a look at our Facebook page and try and perhaps see a bit more about the Roaming Radrunner. But as always, as I say to you, my friends, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. And always ride rad!